So have you ever thought about your database and understood that there's a lot of potential that you can tap into, but you're terrified of showing up as salesy and spammy and just kind of looking like a fool in front of the people that you trust? Let's talk about it. I first want to say, if you have felt this way, you're not alone. I speak to agents every single week who ask me, Steph, how do I even begin marketing to my database without sounding all salesy? Like, I don't want to do that. I get it. I don't want you to do that either. And in fact, if you are coming across and feeling salesy spammy, like the moment you get that little like, ick, you're doing it wrong, because everyone else can pick up on that too, which is like part of the fear. I can totally understand that as somebody who has struggled with this, but has gone on to build a real estate business that is cornerstoned on database referral. So let me share with you a few words, a little perspective shift, and some tips on how you can start tapping into the potential of serving your database as well. So a lot of times when we get that feeling of like coming across as salesy spammy, it's because we're focused on the sale and the ask. If you're coming out of the gates, going for the ask, you have already lost. You've lost credibility, you've lost trust, and you've lost engagement from your audience or your ideal client. Instead, you want to focus on serving. Now, the easiest way to begin serving instead of selling is to learn more about your database and ask them what they need. I think it is such a mistake as real estate agents to feel as if we can't ask and learn more about how we can be better at serving our people. There's this idea that we have to come out with our license along with all of the knowledge of this industry and have the culmination of the wisdom and experience of even the most, what's the word? Seasoned agents in this industry, okay? That's just not the case. So here's the thing. If you are an agent who's been in this industry for less than like 5 to 8 years, I have news for you. You have not really seen some of the cycles that go on in the market. You have really been around only long enough to see the tail end of a recovery and a huge rebound of the seller's market. You haven't been around for a lot of the cyclical changes that this market is capable of showing us, and which ultimately will show us sometime in the future. Heaven's willing. Say you are an agent who has been in the industry longer than that. You have not even been around as long as this demographic has come into play, right? Like the main demographic that is purchasing today are the millennials. This is a new segment of the market for you who think and behave differently than any generation before them. And even if you're trying not to target millennials, which is a mistake, let's talk about the other side of that spectrum. You have the baby boomers and Gen X, who are also going through giant lifestyle changes, who are liquidating their portfolios of rental homes, who are trying to downsize or move to different climates, or maybe even trying to get into larger multi-generational homes as they bring on their elderly parents to live with them, right? So like there are so many different shifts that even if you are a seasoned agent, you have not been around to fully experience. And so for anybody to think that we have to just be able to magically guess what's important to our database is wrong. And so I think that we really need to start getting curious as an industry and having real conversations and listening, which is the superpower of any savvy marketer, to what it is they actually want to see and hear. What to them is high value service? Ask your database so that there is no question that if you are fulfilling those wishes, you are serving, not selling. Now, as you are engaging in real people conversations with your database to learn really how they think about real estate, learn about their highest priority problems, their needs, their wishes, their fears, as you are having these conversations, you need to practice extreme empathy. I think so often we kind of get frustrated if clients aren't making a move as quickly as we would like them to, or if they're dragging their feet, or if they're just not getting on the same page as you in terms of understanding the urgency and their position in the market. This can be really frustrating, especially if you are focusing on a niche clientele of homeowners who need to sell their home before moving up. Obviously, in this low inventory market, those are some of our most difficult clients because a lot of them after having conversations and learning about this, are very afraid of selling their house at the top of the market only to buy at the top of the market, or only to not be able to purchase a home at all because of how competitive the buy-side things are. And so you and I know how we can get them over the fence. You and I know what solutions we can offer to them, but to them, it's not just a solution. This deeply impacts their life. This impacts their financial standing. This impacts the very nature of where they're able to rest at night and have their safe space at home. And so we really need to understand that while to us, sometimes when we're this close to business, we're talking about numbers and deals and leads and contacts, that represents a person who has really deeply attached themselves to the comfort of their home, or has really deeply attached themselves to how much they rely on the proceeds from their sale in order to see them on to their next path in their journey. This stuff matters. And so by having very, very deep, sincere empathy for our clients and staying curious and continuing to ask questions about, well, I hear you that you're afraid of buying at the top of the market. Tell me more about that. Tell me more about why that stresses you out beyond the obvious nature of it. Tell me what that actually would mean to you if that did happen, right? Like, can we really have these conversations in a way to craft a more meaningful service and product for our clients? I think we can. And more to the point, I think that we absolutely should, or else we will be seeing ourselves out of this industry as others like the tech giants who have figured this out move us aside. Now, these two things, listening and practicing empathy, never end because the cyclical nature of the market never ends. And so our clientele is going to be constantly shifting in terms of where their attention is, what their needs are, and what's most important to them. But along that way, we want to continue practicing those two things. We also want to continue practicing one other thing, which is extreme gratitude. I work in a market with over 80,000 licensees. Now, not all of them are active, and not all of them are my direct competitors, but it's really hard to overstate how much competition there is in this industry as a whole, okay? And so anytime an individual reaches out to me and asks for my time and my perspective, I am deeply moved and honored. It still, after going on 8 years, never gets old, because consumers of the public, they have a lot of choices. They have nothing but choices. And you know what's more? They have nothing but information. So they are making very informed, data-driven decisions on who they speak to before they ever come to face to face with you as a real estate agent. And so we really need to be grateful for every single interaction that we have and express it. And there's no better way to show gratitude than to our database. So anytime you get a referral, anytime people are asking you questions, anytime someone chooses to do business with you, show extreme gratitude. Now, that can look like a lot of different things, and you get to decide as a business owner how you're going to express that. So if you're familiar with the love languages, there's actually a quiz that you can take so that you can learn your love languages. Mine tends to be words of affirmation. I'm really terrible at gifting. I'm really not one that needs a lot of personal time with individuals, and I'm definitely not a touchy-feely person. But words of affirmation are my love language. Basically, all I want is to be told that I'm smart and pretty all day long, okay? And so understanding that that is how I like to receive love or appreciation is really important in understanding the ways that I express love and appreciation. But it's also really important to understand that everybody in your database is going to be a little different based on that spectrum as well. And so it might be worth learning a little bit about something like the love languages, which is just an example that happens to have been really helpful for me to understand this concept in terms of different ways that you can show appreciation to the people who mean the most to your business. Because at the end of the day, this group of people is going to be the most supportive, your biggest champions, your loudest friends and family who are going to go out and refer you for the next however long you want to be in this business. And so it's worth thinking a little bit about how you want to show up to them. And so for me, for example, my database marketing plan, which is something that we discuss a lot in the Market Authority Academy, a little plug, my database marketing plan actually runs the whole 5 love languages. We have an element of words of affirmation. We have an element of gifting. We have personal time. So just to show that I'm thinking about a couple of different ways to have a multifaceted marketing and gifting strategy that's going to be reflective of the sum of people who I care about the most in my business. And finally, my last tip for you is to have a little bit of faith. Okay, so I know it can be really scary showing up to people who you respect and showing up in a role that's new to you. You might be speaking about an industry that is new to you, or you might be speaking from a place that you haven't spoken to your database from before. There are plenty of agents who I have spoken to who have been in the business for going on 10 years who have never taken the time to put together a solid database because they always just assumed that they wouldn't be able to do it well enough or the right way, whatever that might look like in their mind. And I want you to know that your database wants to support you. The very definition of a database is the people who know you, like you, and trust you. If you have a dear friend who comes to you with a mission that they're on and they're asking for your help and support, you would help them. And so we shouldn't be looking at our database in any different light other than that. Now, if they've never shown up for you before, so if you've never really been that agent who gets a lot of referrals, or if you think your database isn't really part of your ideal clientele, maybe you haven't taught them how to refer you yet. Maybe you haven't taught them how they can support you. So think about these and challenge some of these limiting beliefs that you might have around this very important aspect of your business so that you can get out of your own way and start to tap into the potential that you have with your people. What do you think? Am I on the right path here? Is this kind of making sense to you? Do me a favor and leave me a comment. I want to hear from you whether you are someone who is very engaged with your database or if you haven't quite gotten there yet. Leave me a comment below, let's talk about it. In the meantime, do me a favor, if you found value from this video, please go ahead and hit like and subscribe on this video and for this channel, not only so that we can keep in touch, but also it really genuinely supports this channel with the algorithm and helps more people who need this content find it. Thanks so much for tuning in, and until next time, keep on crushing it.